What you doing?
Dave Mason. He said, anybody ever shop at the Granny Takes a Trip in London? And I said, I got all my clothes came from Granny Takes a Trip in the Chelsea Antique Market. And I said, yours probably did too. I know full well they did. That's where we all shop. Gene and Marty. That was the guys that owned it and ran it. Yeah.
You talking to Dave Mason, are you?
Yeah, I was just writing the thing to Dave. I'm sure he's going to be surprised to see me popping in on this thing saying anything.
Perhaps so.
Yeah, well, we all went shopping there, you
know. What's the name of the painting up there that you... I mean, somebody has mentioned, and we've been doing it anyway, but swapping out those paintings on the hearth?
You know what, I really don't know, because...
That's all right. We swap them out, though.
You know, we were talking about something about... I don't know the boat landing or something.
Right.
That's probably it, the boat landing. Because you was talking about a boat. That works good, you know.
Okay.
These things, I never, with my paintings, they're never titled or until it's well over. Like this one's been up there a couple of weeks, and it just didn't hit me right away. And Coco said something, she said something straight off, you know. And I went, well, okay, you know. But, yeah, they generally identify themselves, you know. But, yeah, boat landing, we'll call that one.
All right, boat landing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
You don't see the entire thing.
Thank you.
Well, I've got several questions. Thanks to everybody on the channel for putting forth questions. And somebody wanted to know if Eric's dog Jeep was stolen. I don't know why they asked.
Lord, no. That dog wasn't stolen. He might have run off.
Okay, next, that's too good.
But he wasn't smart enough to get stolen.
He wasn't a very smart dog.
No. Now, with our dog, Turk, he's got a mind of his own, and he's not one of those fetch dogs.
Let me just cut to Turk for a second.
You know,
okay?
none of that. He's a guard dog. You know.
Yeah, look at this guard dog.
There he is.
This is Turk, our guard dog.
Yeah.
Hey, Turk.
See him guarding that bed? Yeah.
We don't show Turk often, but haven't had chance.
No, if Jeep had been stolen, I'd have known it. But no, when Jeep passed away, he got another one like him, and his name was Willis. And so Jeep is like a Jeep, you know, the old Jeeps, and Willis is a Jeep as well, you know, a four-wheel vehicle.
I thought it was a Weimaraner.
It was. You know?
Not a four-wheel vehicle.
But that's where Willis, you know.
Oh, that's where you get the name.
Yeah, Jeep Willis. You know.
Pardon. Okay. The next one was, and from the same person, is your name carved at the bar at the Windmill Pub down the road from Eric?
My name?
Yeah. Is it carved into
I wouldn't have. If it would have just been BW, you know.
Were you into carving?
I'll probably carve my name on that pub. Probably put a dent in it with my forehead, you know. Yeah, I know exactly where it is.
Okay. Here's an interesting question. This was from a guy who's having it out with his son, who's obviously a young guitar player. Son and dad both play guitar, but the son's like playing at full tilt, right? With his band. And he said, this is the way Eric does it. So he's like putting us in the middle of this, or you rather, wanting to know what your thoughts are that. Did Eric play full out, or?
I beg your pardon?
Did Eric play full tilt, loud as possible?
Would you mind saying that again?
Oh, shut up.
This is the side Eric's amp was on. Yeah, of course he played loud. That was Eric Clapton.
So he played extremely loud. That was
very loud. Our band was a loud band for a four-piece band.
Yes, but you were saying the other day, there's a reason for playing loud. There's a sweet spot that you hit.
There is. There's this place. You can get too loud and it's all distorted and rattly, you know. Yes. And then there's this right under it. It just doesn't quite get it, you know. But then there's this spot. There's a sweet spot where it gels. You know? Same thing with, I reckon every instrument, there's a place where it sounds its best, you know. I know the B3 isn't full tilt at all times.
Right.
There's certain areas where it's a sweet spot, you know, depending on what tone you have. I got something I want to say to that young man about Eric Clapton's guitar, and I haven't even said this before, but his original guitar, Brownie, had a 3-position switch on it, all right? And so it's back and middle and the front. Well, it was, he ran it right in between. There's a sweet spot in between the first one, the high, and the middle, but it didn't have a catch. What he did, he could just feel it. There was a certain spot. And he played everything. Now they got 5-position switches that's supposed to be the sweet spot, but it's really not exactly right, because his sweet spot, you know, that was invisible, was just a little too off of that one. So there were 2 tones in between the first and second one. So, but it was just like that. I said, why don't you just put a match back there where you don't ever have to worry about it coming out? He said, I don't worry about it coming out. I just don't touch it. You know, and he knows his way around the guitar neck and all of that going down there. But no one, I don't think I've ever read where anybody has said anything about it. I've never known of Eric to say anything about it. But yeah, his original Blackie and Brownie were, they had 3-position switches on them. They didn't have 5-position switches. There wasn't no such thing as a 5-position switch back then.
So do you think they got that from Eric?
I would imagine. Somebody was listening, that's for sure. But yeah, that's really that's the true deal. And I said something to him about it, but he said, no, it's right here, it's right there, and then there's one right behind it, and you could hear it go, and it made all the difference in the world. You could tell it.
Well, speaking of guitars, guitar players and such, someone wanted to know how you felt about playing with George. What did you think of his guitar playing and his style?
Oh, George was a great guitar player. He wished, you know, that he could have played like Eric. He said, but I don't. He said, I play like me. You know, George was a great guitar player. Listen to Paperback Writer. Oh man, all the stuff he came up with was so creative and innovative. It just set a precedence for everything else.
I don't think anybody paid much attention to what a great musician he was, or definitely songwriter. Fortunately for us, because we got All Things Must Pass out of that.
Yeah.
And of course he did other records, but that's the standout record.
Yeah.
So how did you feel when you first heard him playing guitar? Did
it
strike you at all?
When I first heard George play guitar, it was when he played with us with Delaney and Bonnie. He came on the road with us for a little bit.
Right.
And, well, number one, when he came on, everything went, you know, his presence came on before him, and Delaney and Bonnie, everybody just chilled. You know, there's something happened. And then when George came on the bus, it was like his presence commanded this respect. I mean, with Eric, all of us, you know. And it was just, and everything worked like magic when he was with us. And his guitar playing was so simple that it just fit right in with Eric and Delaney. It fit right in with us.
Is it true that he was somewhat nervous about playing with all you guys?
I imagine he was, you know. He hadn't gone out in a while.
Because he was standing far back in the...
He was in the shadows, you know. And, boy, what an experience. What a lovely man. I feel real privileged to have known him the short time that I did, you know.
And when you guys were traveling on the bus, where exactly was he seating in the bus?
Right there.
Sat in the back?
Yeah, right there. On
Who was he sitting with? Anybody?
No, he had his own seat. You know, everybody had their own place. And
when he got on the bus, isn't that when when he gave Delaney the Rosewood Telly?
Oh yeah, the Rosewood Telly. First thing he did was give that to Delaney, because Alan, our manager had already told, he was friends with George. He had already told George, he's going to be asking you for something, okay? Just get ready. Delaney's going to ask you for something. Well, George was prepared, so he came with something to give so no one would have to ask, you know. And, I mean, Delaney was like, hey, man, let me have that right there. Give me that.
Oh, seen him do it.
He didn't think twice about, you know, man, that's a nice looking watch. Why don't you give that to me, man?
He didn't mind taking your last hat, your last guitar.
No, but this ain't about Delaney. You know, this is about George Harrison and what he did, the effect he had on Delaney. He took the wind right out of him, I'll tell you right now. He was on his good behavior. Delaney Bramlett was for the 4 or 5 shows that we had. Now, before it was wrecking time and after it was wrecking time, but when George was with us, he commanded an aura of respect and peace. He carried that dignity with him, and it spread in everywhere he was. Everywhere he was, anyone that was around him could feel it, you know. It's like one of these things. If he was coming in the door, you wouldn't have to see him to know that he's coming through the door. You could feel it, you know. You could feel his presence.
Was there anyone...
Feel it now.
Was there someone there that was watching over him to make sure things didn't go awry, or was that...
Hell no. He just got on the bus with that guitar, handed to Delaney. We backed out of his place in Esher, and off we went. And that was exactly how... He didn't have a minder. Mal or Evans wasn't with him. Nobody. He just got on, you know, with Delaney, Eric, and all of us. You know, Carl and Jim and Bonnie, and off we went.
Did you talk with him at all on that particular tour?
Yeah. He didn't get taken over by Delaney and Bonnie like Eric did, you know, because you couldn't take him over as a matter of respect, you know, that he didn't have to ask or, you know, he commanded that thing without saying anything. And it was amazing. It was amazing. You got a bus load of drunk, coked up rednecks, Mississippi, you know, and George Harrison walks on there, man, and everything was just like peace. And it was that way the whole time he was with us, and we hated to see him go back, you know, to his house after the 4th, 5th gig. I think he did 5 shows with us.
Right.
But how wonderful. And he and Eric were up there trading off guitars on stage and stuff. You know, he had a great time playing with us. Well, it was great playing with Delaney and Bonnie. It was the after the show math, you know, and sometimes before that was not so great. But the music was always phenomenal. You know, it outweighed anything. When that band played, it outweighed anything that went down. We had Dave Mason with us. So we had Eric Clapton, Dave Mason, and George Harrison as our guitar players. That ain't bad, you know. That's not bad at all.
Do you recall anybody, or Delaney rather, showing George how to play slide?
No, that never happened. That never happened. And George didn't want to play like anybody. And he didn't go get anything from anybody, because he and I talked a bit about this in his guest house where he and Patty were living. It was the second gatehouse going in, because they hadn't moved into the big place again. But he and I got to talking about that one time, and he said, no. He said, I don't want to play like anybody else. He said, so I'm developing my own style. You know, he had certain things that he wanted to do, and he was really into the whole Indian thing. So the word metaphysical has come to play when I was talking about Derek Trucks the other day. That he plays more like in a metaphysical way, like a spiritual way, than, you know, on all of that.
He's listening.
And yeah, he's listening, and it's coming through him, you see. He's tapped into that source. That's what George was. Tapped into that source. So what he played was totally original, not like anybody else. And Delaney never showed him anything. No, that did not happen. I was there.
And so when you finished the tour, you all drove back to to England.
Yeah, and
Let me
dropped him off.
The photographs that were being taken. There's photos of you, Eric, Delaney, and Bonnie in the back of this bus. Was George there at the time?
No, not on that bus. That bus is when we were in America. With that thing where everybody's laughing on him.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, Bonnie farted.
Oh.
Sorry, but that's what happened, and everybody cracked up.
I was just wondering if George was on. That was in the England.
No.
Okay, well, I certainly don't want to end with that.
No, absolutely not. I probably could have said something else, but that's what it is. We all do it. Except for Turk, How did we get over here? I don't know. I'm sorry about that, Coco.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right.
I thought everybody would get
It's
a
getting
kick
long,
out of
but thank you for that. And we'll do another one.
Yeah.